What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Tej pack. Tej makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Tej Henley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tej Henley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Tej Henley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Tej Henley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Tej pack. Feel the Tej, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. It is Wednesday, September 13th, 2023, year of our Lord. I see we got some early super chatters. We got some people in the building. We got the love. The love is showing. What's up, friends and family? You know what I'm going to have to do one day? I'm going to have to bring back the Versace robes just for 1 week to commemorate. Just for 1 week to commemorate what it is that we've been able to accomplish on this channel. I love you guys. I appreciate you. You are the greatest. And when I say greatest, I mean the greatest group of people that I've ever experienced in my entire life. Did you know that on today, September 13th, in 2020, 3 years ago to today, we actually started this channel. 3 years ago to today, we actually started the channel. Actually, we created the channel 3 years ago today. We didn't launch the first video, which was the trailer, until I don't even know what date we launched that trailer on. What did we launch this trailer? Let me see if I can figure out when I launched the trailer for this channel. Boo, 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 boo. Trailer, because I got the little notification today, and it was like, congratulations, it's your channel's birthday. And I was like, yay. So let me see when I launched the trailer for this channel. It says 2 years ago, but you never know. Let me see. I launched the trailer for this channel on I don't know. I have no clue. A little over 2.5 years ago. A little over 2.5 years ago is when I launched the trailer for this channel. It looks like a little over 2.5 years ago. So it's very interesting. Very interesting, the journey that has happened and taken place. But I will say that I will acknowledge that I would not have been able to do it without you guys. You guys are the greatest audience, the greatest supporters, the greatest help on earth. And some of you may have just discovered me this year. Others of you have discovered me throughout the journey. And there's some of you that have been riding with me since the Anton Daniels channel and just navigated over here almost 3 years ago. So I just want to say that I appreciate you. I love you. I never let a day go by without showing some level of appreciation, even offline, with regard to when me praying for you and me just asking God for more growth, more opportunity to do the thing that he want me to do, but more importantly, let me just acknowledge the people that have supported me along the way. I largely believe that the biggest way for you to actually show that you love God is to show that you love his people. The biggest way for you to show that you acknowledge God is to show that you acknowledge the people that surround you. And so without you guys, you are my loves, you are my heart, you are my supporters, you are the people that hold me down. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys for rolling with me. Some of you saying that you just found me a month ago. Some people saying you found me this year. I rock with y'all. Shout out to Azriel. Shout out to the very first people that showed up to my first Patreon meetup. Speaking of Patreon meetup, let's go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way so we can cook up today. We moved it to November 4th. So I actually updated it, and I'm going to be updating it and dropping the updates today inside of the Patreon. The Patreon meetup in DC is going to be November 4th. I will give you guys the details inside of the Patreon. So that update will be updated today. I had to push the date back about a week and a half. Well, actually about 2 weeks. Because at first I anticipated doing it on October 21st. And then that wound up being some kind of family event that I have to go and attend in another state. And then I was going to do it on the 28th. But obviously that was one of the worst dates that I could do it. So the day is going to officially be November 4th. You guys are more than welcome to go ahead and book your tickets if you're from out of town for your hotel. I'm going to give you the update of the location inside of the Patreon. So if you are not a bag chaser, you're not a Patreon member, do not, by any means, do not even attempt to come through because you will not be invited. It is for bag chasers only. It is for only the best of the best and the people that I can have a conversation with and hopefully add as much value into your lives as possible. So again, that date will be early November, November 4th specifically. And if you are a bag chaser and a Patreon member, you will get the location, you will get the time, you will get all of the information with regard to that. I will be there. Rita will be there. All of my friends will be there. You never know, maybe a special guest there. But I invite you guys to come and celebrate with me. Come and have some drinks. Come and kick it. Come and network. It is not going to be any cost associated with it if you are a bag chaser. And it's going to be absolutely awesome. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great time. Also, if you are not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Make sure you get that Teach Hanley 30% off your first order plus a free gift. If you are rocking with any of the Teach Pack, then I am not rocking with you. If you are rocking with any other Teach Packs, I'm not rocking with you because you know your girl got to get you that Teach Pack only from me. You know you're supposed to have your Teach Pack only from us. So let's get it, y'all. Let's run it up. And if you are not a part of the Patreon or if you are a part of the Patreon, make sure you click the Discord link. And I need to update the Discord with some moderation things. Make sure that you get the Discord link. It's in the description of any of the most recent videos inside of the Patreon. And I got an update coming for y'all on our real estate project that we got coming on. And then in November, later on in November, I'm doing a Fund Your Business where you guys pitch me your businesses. And then as I see fit, I will allocate resources, as many as I can, to help fund your business getting started so that you guys can get off the ground. So again, shout out to the Patreon members. Shout out to the bag chasers. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. And we are going to get started with the show. Let me give an early acknowledgement to my guy, Mike That Dude. I appreciate you on Cash App for continuing to hold me down. Thank you, my friend. You are absolutely awesome. On top of that, let me acknowledge some of you guys that are super chat. Actually, you know what? Let me go through some of the Cash Apps real quick because I absolutely love acknowledging these people. These people are dope. Shout out to Mike That Dude. Tommy. Tommy is in the building. I appreciate you, Tommy, for the 20 ball on Cash App. Says, tell him Chef Daniels you can get this work. Shout out to my dog, Tommy. Shout out to Lashad Tukes. I appreciate you from down there in Jacksonville, Florida. Mark, I appreciate you. Thank you, Mark. And then T-Max77095, thank you. You are absolutely awesome. Also, on top of that, I want to acknowledge a lot of these Cash Apps and Super Chats. KGTV says, I've been tuned in every day and laughing ever since. Laughter really is the best medicine. Unless you're Houston, then it's probably penicillin. Also, happy 3rd birthday to the MMS Coincidentally, I turned 40 today. Much love. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, my friend, and congratulations on turning 40. It gets better with time. It gets better with time. The thing that people don't understand about getting older is that people that complain about getting older make very, very bad decisions in their lifetime. Because as you get older and as you age, you become more, or your life becomes exponentially more of whatever it is that you made a decision of in your youth. So if you're the type of person that took care of yourself, you wasn't smoking, you wasn't drinking, you was funding your 401k, the earliest way and the best way for you to build wealth is that early years, or those early years that you start to put into your 401k or your investments, because they compound exponentially as you grow older. It's just a fact. The math is mathing. And if you're the type of person that made smart decisions, you went to college, you took care of business. If you was in your 30s, your 20s, and you're taking care of business, as you age and you get into your 40s, life become easier, life become better, life becomes that much more phenomenal. But then people that did all of the wrong things, they got to deal with all of the repercussions of their actions, and they basically suffer as they get older. And so you have to be, shout out to all Day Dre in the building. Happy 18th birthday. If you make a smarter decision, and I always say, and I lean into that saying, an old saying that a lot of people have heard, but they've largely ignored. When our old OGs used to tell us and our elders used to tell us, hey, listen, you ain't missing nothing but the devil. You think that them people out there partying, you think that they having a good time, you think that they out there just living it up. In reality, all you missing is the devil. You're missing the devil. And so ain't nothing fun that come along with it. A lot of these women, we see it. Those are the very conversations that are happening today. Those are the very conversations that are happening today as far as the people that are paying for the repercussions or their actions. They're paying for the actions that they made when they were much younger. They did not marry the person that they were supposed to marry because they passed up on them. They did not go to school, and so they now asking for student loan forgiveness. They trying to figure it out. They didn't do the right thing. They surrounded themselves with the wrong people and the wrong habits. They went and did the PPP loan, and now they still in fear of their life because Biden got basically a 10-year window in order to come and get you. So every day that they scared, they shivering that somebody is gonna come and knock on their door and come and get them. I don't have to worry about none of that. Life gets easier. It gets much, much, much easier and much more enjoyable when you're doing the right thing. So again, shout out to KGTV. KGTV also says, I have to thank you, brother. After a long string of burdensome days, I discovered your show at the emergence of the Highway Boss Baby saga. And then he went on to say whatever it is that he says. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, KGTV. Thank you, my friend, for both of the super chats. Latrell M says, Anton Don, what up, though? Hey, shout out to the people that I ran into at the gym yesterday. My life has become so much more pleasant, right? So much more enjoyable. I'm at the gym every single day. I'm going to bed earlier, waking up earlier, except for the weekends. Things is awesome. Shout out to the people that I ran into at the gym yesterday that was like, yo, Ty, remember me? And it was my old coworkers from Rouge Steel, from the steel plant that I used to work at back in the day. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to Latrell M. I appreciate you. Marvelous Brown Jr. in the building says, been rocking with you for a couple months now. I'm a successful business owner. Just joined the Bag Chasers yesterday. Can't wait for the game I'm going to pick up. Shout out to you, Marvelous Brown Jr. and all of the Bag Chasers. We appreciate you. My dog Marcus Hill in the building says, another day, an opportunity to chase the bag. Shout out to Marcus Hill. I appreciate you, my dog. P. Shank is in the building, says, good morning, Anton. Happy morning show anniversary. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, we will be cooking up on this anniversary show. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm. If you are on Facebook, shout out to you. I'm going to be streaming on Rumble. Hopefully starting later on this week, we'll be streaming on Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. And then we're going to continue to expand the platform because we want to be platform agnostic. All right, I'll go into that later on tonight when y'all tune into the Anton Daniels Show. Make sure you tuned into the Anton Daniels Show tonight on my other channel, the original channel, the OG channel. We going to be cooking up. It's going to be a glorious night. I don't even want to tell y'all what I'm going to talk about because you know I go in. You know I absolutely go in. Shout out to all of my people that is going to be tuned in tonight. It is a great day. Great, great day. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be reading Cash App, Super Chats, PayPals throughout the show. I do not ask for it, but I certainly appreciate it. And so I have to acknowledge the people that support the show because without me, And without you, we have no group. We have no Millionaire Morning Show. And so, again, I appreciate you. All right? All right? Let's see what's going on. Oh, my daughter is over here spending money. No worries. I just get alerts every time she do so. All right, let's continue. I don't know what you're talking about, Sharon, but we'll get to it. First, I got a question that I want to ask y'all. Before we really deep dive into the show, I want to talk about Larry Elders. I want to talk about Chicago. I want to talk about Oakland. I want to talk about evictions, property taxes, tiny homes, the UAW contract. So we have a lot to cover today, a lot of money to get to. I want to ask y'all a question before we get started, though. Why don't y'all like Candace Owens? What's the problem with her? What's up, Sherelle? My long-term love. Shout out to King James. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. What's going on with Candace Owens? What is y'all problem with Candace Owens? Is Candace Owens not the very thing that we say that we want from the black community and from women in general? Do we not want to hold ourselves accountable? Well-spoken women, unapologetically standing on her square when it comes to leaning into conservative values and principles of how it is that a woman is supposed to operate within their femininity, within their household, standing up for what is right, not bowing down to what is wrong. I don't understand why people don't love. It's funny because we'll give all of the accolades, all of the love to Sexy Red, Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, all of these different women. Trina, I seen Trina jump up on stage looking crazy, looking absolutely crazy. But then I see so many people. Candace Owens is fit, slim, don't wear a lot of makeup, natural hair, don't have crazy looks and butterfly eyelashes, faithful to her husband, mother, pundit, articulate, well-spoken, not running in the Victim Olympics. Honestly, I'm curious. I don't think that you guys even really care to do the thing that's in your own best interest. Exhibit A, she appeared on a whatever podcast, right? And I thought that this was interesting because, you know, it was unique in that they were able to bring together, I don't even know how they got a Candace Owens on a platform. It had to be some level of visibility or the fact that they have a lot of subscribers that creates more visibility, and so was a market opportunity. But to see Candace Owens show up as a woman that is pregnant again, about to have a child, and then show up next to women that were incredibly uncomfortable with her in the room because they can tell a real one when they see one, I thought that it was a really good opportunity for us to evaluate the difference between the women that we love and the women that we don't. No? Let me play a little bit of this and then you tell me what it is that you think.
I don't think that it's up to any of us what constitutes a marriage because every relationship is different.
Well, so Bible.
If a husband, okay, but
these words have meaning.
Not everyone is religious.
Well, wait, hold on. Is that a cross necklace?
Since
we're talking about religion really quick. Okay, you have a cross necklace, but then your shirt says "Made in Hell."
Yes, it does.
I'm a little confused.
Ironic.
Can you?
I mean,
I'm a little confused.
The stone is red, so it matched. You know.
But why are you wearing a cross on your neck?
Are you color coordinating with your neck?
Because I don't see a cross as religious, so.
Okay. Just like you don't see a marriage as religious. So
I don't think that a marriage
have meaning. This is why it's like we're at a stage where people are like, "What is a woman?" Because they just go, "Well, we're going to call it a marriage, but we're going to sleep with other people. We're going to bring in prostitutes. We're going to outsource raising the kids, or we're never going to have kids." You're calling it a family. It's not a family, and this is what it is. The words have no meaning, right? I'm wearing the cross. Why? I don't know. I don't think of it as religious. Okay. Well, Jesus Christ died on the cross.
You think that.
That's what you think.
Wait,
that's what proven. You think.
Yeah. So why are you wearing the cross?
Because I think it's cute.
You just think that the design is cute.
Yeah.
Wait, really quick.
I grew up Catholic. I was religious, and I'm not anymore. I don't have to believe in what you believe, and I can say that if
I didn't say you had to believe. I asked you a question.
But
I said, why are you wearing the cross?
Okay, and you're saying that the religious aspect of marriage is the only thing that matters. It's not, because people don't follow what you believe.
Yeah. Okay, I asked you why you're wearing the cross, and you said because you thought it was cute.
Yeah,
I'm glad we got an answer. She's wearing the cross around her neck because she thinks it's cute.
Like having
Would you wear
respect
like a
and
yarmulke
tolerance.
because it's like
so I'm
cute?
just like wondering if you
I'm
think
asking
it's
if would you wear a yarmulke because it's cute?
I think those are very different
are you talking
things.
like
Why is the
blasphemy?
cross different from the yarmulke?
I'm just
I mean, I was
asking-
raised Catholic, and that's just
Would
not
you
something
wear
that
a
I believe
yarmulke
anymore.
if you thought it was cute?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, a yarmulke is completely different than
No,
a cross
it's-
that's been
it's
adapted
not.
into
They're
a culture. You can
symbols
buy a
of,
cross
like, a
necklace anywhere.
I mean, so
Yeah.
you say.
So as I look at this, right, and as I observe some of these early clips, and I'm going to be reading those super chats shortly. Shout out to Shensi, Ash, and my dog, Blaze Skywalker in the building. I appreciate you. Do you see the contrast and the difference between the women that you guys choose to, and I say you guys, not me, you, the women that you guys choose to bust down versus the women that you hate? And I'm not even just talking about men. See, that's the caveat. I'm not talking about men. I'm talking about people. Listen, we live in a world in which everybody is doing whatever it is that they want to do. You can identify as what you want to identify as. Men are sleeping with women for the streets. Women are sleeping with women for the streets. Men are sleeping with men from the streets. That's just the world that we live in. This is our new norm. This is what we have accepted as our new norm. So much so to where I was watching a DJ Academics breakdown of the bottle wars between Baltimore and I think it was New York or LA, where the new thing in Houston is to show up to the club, show how much money you got by seeing how much money you can spend and give to the club owners, and then you pour your bottles out on the floor for everybody to clean up that you don't even drink, just to show that you stunting more than the dude that's next to you. This is our new norm. This is what we do within our community. So I'm largely under the impression that one of the reasons, because it always has to be a reason, the only thing that does not make sense is jealousy, and jealousy is crueler than the grave. The only reason that I would have to draw a conclusion that you guys don't like Candace Owens is because she's so far from what it is that we've culturally accepted as our norm that you reject her. Now, I disagree with some of the things that Candace Owens says sometimes. I disagree with some of the things that Candace Owens says. We fundamentally have a completely different perspective on certain things, especially as it relates to certain issues, right? I don't like the way that she addresses certain things in which she adds things that's unrelated to the specific subject in order to then get you to think a certain type of way about a person before she actually makes her point. But 98, 99% of the things that she says, I'm absolutely in agreement with her. But I'm objective enough in order to be able to make an assessment, because I don't agree with 100% of anything that anybody has said up to this point in my life. I don't even agree with everything that my mother says or my daughter says, and I'm the one that's groomed her and taught her what it is that she's supposed to be. But why do we reject her? We largely embrace the thing that we say that we don't want as a community. I'm not even talking about from a relationship perspective. As a community. You want free thinkers. You want people that operate based off of their femininity. You want people to take accountability. You don't want excuses. You want people to get it out the mud, to work, to actually dress a little bit more conservative, to be a representation of what we're supposed to be in the black community. Is she not that? Regardless of whether or not you disagree or agree with her political views, is she not that? Is she more of a representation of the woman that you would want to be the mother of your child versus the women that she's having a conversation with that tends to be the baby mamas of the guys that then complain the most about what it is that we see in our communities? Just curious. How long will you continue to reject the thing that is best for you? Just curious. Andrew Bob, I'm going to read that super chat right now. You said because she's too white. Well, what is white? And this is the thing and reason why I say we have to continue to unlearn. And before we start to get to the money, we need to start reconfiguring how it is that we see things in a way that we understand life. I'm not going to get on you. I'm not going to go off on you and say that you think it's stupid, because this is what you're truly sharing with me as to one of the reasons why you don't like her. She's too white. Well, what is too white? Tell me what you mean by she is too white. Can she speak proper English? Is that what you call too white? She's educated, married, children. What is too white? Is white supposed to be the right thing? Or is that just basically being a smart American, a human being that takes care of business? I never understood the too white thing. Does that mean that you're not ignorant enough? You don't speak enough Ebonics? You don't listen to enough rap music? You're not cool enough? What is being too white? Is it that Her hair isn't in an afro. What is it? What is too white? What do you mean by she's too white? Thank you for the super chat. She not hood enough. She not ratchet enough. She wasn't a rapper. She didn't get buzzed down by enough dudes. What is being too white? What does that mean? Think about what y'all saying before y'all say it, because I'm gonna be reading y'all super chats and I'm interacting with the chat right now. What does it mean to be too white? Let me play a little bit more of this, and then y'all give me y'all thoughts. This is her talking to a woman based off of how it is that she see marriage.
Marriages by having sex with the husband?
Well, I do help a lot of couples. One right now is asking me to lend a hand, and he's more of a beta, and she'd like him to be more of an alpha, and she wants me to work with him on being more just outwardly in control and aggressive in the bedroom.
I think it's the most outrageous thing I've ever heard. So in the realm of like dragons and mythological creatures that it's hard to respond to.
There's multiple clients that do this. The wife.
Now look at the woman that is saying this. Look at the woman that's communicating with Candace Owens and saying that people are bringing me into their bedroom in order to basically have threesomes. I fix marriages by breaking marriages. I fix marriages by doing the thing that's absolutely the wrong thing for a marriage. I am defiling the bedroom and people are bringing me in and I look like a piece of trash. Would you bring this dragon into your bedroom in order to then help y'all get y'all rocks off or to fix y'all relationship? Is it a woman that's for the streets that can literally come in and fix y'all relationship by then doing things with y'all openly in the situationship? This is the thing that we embrace most within our community. And I'm not even talking about, when I say our community, I'm not saying black people. I'm saying American Western culture, because I'm here. I'm living in America. I was born and raised here. This is the thing that you guys are saying is cool. I see you. I hear you. I hear you communicate about it on a regular basis. You advocate for it. You say that this is cool. This is what you want. This is originally what it is that we were. Okay, let's continue.
Will not have sex anymore. When they were courting each other, she was down for sex. She was a
Thank y'all for the super chats. I'm going to be reading these shortly.
sexual person. She was all about it. Then let's fast forward. They're married. We're married now. Contract solidified. I don't want to have sex anymore. Ooh.
So you're not saving marriages, you're helping people to keep up a farce that they are in a marriage. Because at the very moment that you let someone else into your marriage, it's no longer a marriage.
No.
Yeah.
And
these
women,
women
have turned around and said, I will allow you to see a professional.
So they are not in a marriage. That's the point.
They're married.
As soon as you lend
some of
your
their
spouse.
wives.
Who determines who's a professional? So you have a person that declared themselves to be a professional because they're a prostitute and they've slept with a lot of people. And so they're determining that they're a professional marriage counselor because they go in and they sleep with somebody else's spouse with the permission of the woman. That makes sense to y'all? Am I the only person that's seeing this is just way out of control? Look, I get that people do things. I get that nobody is without sin and everybody does things and we have to be asking for forgiveness on a regular basis in order to do the thing that's best for us and also show that we have a level of humility and that we're actually trying to change and progress and to be in the best versions of ourselves. I get it. Shout out to Cliff Williams and everybody that's super chatting. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. I understand that nobody is without sin. And I also understand that people do things and behind closed doors and they trying to figure out so on and so forth, right? But there used to be a level of shame, or let's not even throw shame in there. There used to be a level of a line that you wouldn't cross, or things that you just wouldn't reveal to the world. But now we just putting it all on the world stage and we saying, listen, we're going to do whatever it is that we want to do when we want to do it, and we're going to throw a label on it like marriage, which that's not what it is. That's not what it is. And this is the reason why I have a conversation with y'all and I tell y'all it's a difference between being successfully married and putting on a front and being ships in the night and calling it a marriage and just really getting married for business purposes.
Or like dying from cancer.
If I'm dying from
Is even-
cancer and my
somebody
husband
sleeps
goes
with
to sleep
somebody
with
else,
somebody, I swear to God.
Like
Their
their
husbands
wives, their wives are the ones.
I just would like to make the point that at the very moment that you loan your spouse out, especially if you're dying of cancer, so that they can get off, you're no longer in a marriage. So it's just a farce. It's like it's a comical. You're pretending for people.
Don't you hate it when people use an extreme? Shout out to all of the super chats. I'm going to be reading those shortly. Don't you hate it when people use an extreme in order to try to substantiate their argument? Well, if you're dying of cancer and I can't do anything for you, I'd give you permission to go and sleep with somebody else. Let me tell you something. If my wife is dying of cancer, God forbid, or I am dying of cancer, I will tell you this. The last thing that I'm going to be thinking of is going to bust down a prostitute. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the crazy one. I had a guy, one of my guys, rest in peace, Mike. Shout out to Mike. Married one of my really, really good friends. And when I say good friend, she was the friend of my mother, and my mother wanted to bring her to the church. And so we all wind up bonding based off of being centrally located within the same area and then going to church together. And then we wind up doing business together. And me and Mike wind up working together. And so we both worked at the plant together, but Mike was a lot older. But Mike wound up passing away of cancer, right? If I'm not mistaken, he passed away early last year. Rest in peace to my good friend Mike. And when he was going through it, the only thing that he cared for, or the only thing he cared about, was remembering the times and living as much as he could and getting things settled and taken care of and making sure that his wife was going to be taken care of after his passing and that everything was in order and that she had the passwords and, and being loved on and spending his time on the golf course. And, he just wanted to enjoy his friends and family and really take note of the things that was meaningful to him and how awesome that his life was and how far God had brought him out of the situation that he found himself into earlier in his life. The last thing, and I was best friends with this guy. I mean, he was one of the closest people that I've ever experienced in my entire life. He was the guy that was for me and there for me when I was going through the bottom, and he was going through it too, and then I would help hold him down, and we was best friends, but he was an OG. He was an older guy. He was one of the people that was closest to me. The last thing on his mind was busting down some chick. The last thing on his mind was busting down the chick. What country do we live in? What environment are we existing in? What space do we justify ourselves to be existing in at this point, to where these are the conversations that's meaningful to us instead of the stuff that's really going to carry us through and make us better versions of ourselves that allow us to live a more fuller life?
People that you're in a marriage, that you're in a loving relationship, that's not what a marriage is. So to say that I help marriages, no, you help destroy marriages, and they can go out and say that we're still married because what we've done is we've essentially said, you take care of this aspect of the marriage, you raise the kids, you have with him. This isn't a marriage. It's the whole thing is fake, right?
What do you think that they should
I'll bring
do?
you in next.
What do you think that
they should work on their marriage together. The union between a husband and a wife should work on their marriage together to fix it. You don't bring out an outside person to sleep with your husband or your wife.
But if she's saying, I'm not down for sex,
then she might be down for a divorce.
I want to outsource the sex.
If she's
I
going to
want
die
you to
from
go to
cancer,
this.
and she allowed him to do that because he needed to get off some way or shape.
While she was dying of cancer, one of the last things on her mind was,
this is a real life. This is a real life. This is a real life. This was a real. I'm asking you.
And is that what he told you?
So
that his wife that's dying of cancer wanted him to come have sex with you?
Not with me. From what I've heard, yes.
Somebody told you that there's that as a dying wish. My dying
so
wife.
So how would you want
to have sex with a prostitute?
I saw it on TikTok.
I'm just going to call bullshit on that altogether.
No,
I just don't
because
think
it does
when you're
happen.
dying of cancer,
it happens.
Going through leukemia.
People will literally bring their guys here.
Please bring them on the podcast.
Like, there's other avenues you can take for therapy.
Normal couples counselors.
Yes, real couples counseling,
like regular.
where you try to solve the problem and you release it, and you don't just source it out to a prostitute.
So I'm always curious, as we go through these clips and we've seen Candace Owens, in my opinion, absolutely wash and show the difference between what it is that we should be looking for and the things that we celebrate. I ask you again, I come back to the original question. You know how when you were in school and they said that the way in which you're supposed to structure your essay is that first you have to write your thesis, right? And after you write your thesis, you write the 3 supporting sentences that is then going to break down the 3 supporting paragraphs, and then you then end it with a conclusion, which then restates the thesis, and then what it is that you saw for or what you found throughout that essay. I don't know if any of you guys were paying attention. I don't know. I know these new people is having ChatGPT write their stuff, but the way that I were taught in school that always carried with me, even to a 41-year-old man as I am today, and I'm about to read the super chats, is that that's the way in which you then convey whatever your point is in a documentation format, right? You state your thesis, your hypothesis. You then you state your 3 or 4 supporting tasks by which you're going to tackle in each supporting paragraph. And then you restate that thesis as to what it is that you found, right, in a conclusion format in a final paragraph in order to be able to substantiate what it is that you're trying to convey over into whoever it is going to read that document, right? And so I ask you again, as a C student, a lifetime C student myself, what is it that you want, if not the very thing that we're seeing illustrated right here from Candace Owens? I'm just curious. That is my question to the general public, my open-ended question to you guys before I read the super chat. What is it that you want? Why don't you like Candace Owens? And what is it that you want, if not her, or what is it that you would change about her to then make her more ideal for what it is that we're looking for from the community? Just curious. Just a question that I wanted to ask you guys before we got started with the show. Make sure that you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats. Shout out to King James 93 says, love. I appreciate you, King James. Shin C says, Candace checks every box for me. Mad she's taken. There's some more Candace Owens out there. Y'all just not really paying attention to who is in front of y'all. Ash says, love Candace Owens. She represents the best of Black women. I agree with approximately 90% of her beliefs for America, women, and Black culture. Shout out to my dog, Ash. I appreciate you. My dog, Blaze Skywalker, says Candace Owens is a Black woman worth protecting. Her smile on top of her intelligence is effing amazing. Amazing. Shout out to you. Cassandra Powell is in the building with her pretty self and her purple on, says women who don't like her probably lack accountability. Candace speaks truth, and sometimes the truth is hard to digest. Shout out to you. Tech Coach Ralph is in the building. Shout out to my dog, Tech Coach Ralph with the 5-ball. I appreciate you. Said salute. To the bag chasers in the building. Andre Bob. Shout out to Dre, says because she's too white. I asked that question during a live stream. I'm very, very much still curious as to what that means. Melvin Johnson says, their idol is feelings. Shaking my head. Shout out to Melvin Johnson with the 2-ball. Dre says, I'm just saying that's why Blacks don't like her. I like her personally. Okay, so you're saying that other people are saying that she's too white. Fair enough. Enforcer 2K9 says, no, the real question is, what is Black? Because anybody who legitimately does better in life or wants to do better is always considered not Black. That is a very, very fair assessment. Slim Tebow is in the building, says, let's start a GoFundMe to get Candace in the bathroom. This conversation needs to be had. I don't know what getting Candace in the bathroom means, but I do think that this conversation needs to be had. Nick at Life, J.A. says, just got settled in my career, good money, over 100K, and currently looking for a woman like Candace. Candace is the ideal wife. Those other women are fun. I don't even think that they fun, though. They carry diseases. They come with headaches. They then get too attached. They not necessarily add value into your life. I mean, yeah, you can bust them down, but then what? You know what I'm saying? Cliff Williams says, not the whole help and the housewife. You know what I'm saying, Cliff? Acting like they're doing you a favor. My dog, Raheem Graham, says, being too white is not supporting Black culture. No matter how toxic the culture is, we want blind support for the community, regardless of the toxicity. That is a fair assessment. I agree with that also. My dog, Tony Williams, is in the building. Tony Williams says, top of the morning, I love Candace. I love people who have great values. She's too white, yet she's arguing with white trash as a Black woman. Think. Shout out to you. Anwar Williams says, my black mom is from Aruba. As a first-generation American Army brat, put me on hooked on phonics. because she didn't want another ninja as her son. Thank God for Cocos. Shout out to Anwar Williams. I appreciate you. One of my good dogs named Anwar in middle school. He actually was a really, really good guy. Jasmine 4517 says, you say she too white, but you put bundles in your head and worship the demonic lifestyle, shaking my head. That is a fact also. I appreciate you, Jasmine. Brock, my dog, is in the building, says, like I said Monday night, people are being too open to way too many things nowadays. It's crazy how folks can't see that you always open up yourself to failure by not standing on principles and morals. Shout out to my dog Brock with the 10 ball. I appreciate you. Kev Reviews Plus is in the building. Shout out to Kev Reviews, says, Anton, you are so right. My wife is a cancer survivor, 6 years cancer free. All praises to God. God bless you, fam. Busting down some other woman never even crossed my mind. Never even crossed my mind. Wasn't even a thing. Shout out to Terry S in the building with the 10 ball. I appreciate you, Terry S. Thank you for holding me down, my friend. Let me get a couple other super chats and then we're going to move on with the show. Slim Tebow says the bathroom is your show. Okay. Brock says, I think he meant don't do coke in the bathroom. Now it's making sense. So we got to get her on don't do coke in the bathroom and find out. Now I'm feeling you. Now I get it. See, I'm a little slow. I'm a C student. Sleepy Domain says Candace is based. I'm guessing you saying she a base head. Is that what you mean? I don't agree. I don't agree at all. LLC is in the building, says, Anton, the only reason they don't like Candace Owens is because she divested. So they call her Kundace. If her man were black, they'd love her to get it. I don't get it because it's plenty of black people that then get y'all celebrate passport bros. Neither here nor there. Atiba Marshall says marriage is scarce between a man and a woman. Best is scare between a man and a woman. Best for the black culture is to be married and move as a unit under God. Well, that's the key, the under God part, because most people don't believe in God, or at least they don't live by the principles of the Bible. So that's the foundation of marriage. HLC Jr. says Candace is an assault on toxic culture. I love it. I love it too, my friend. Listen, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for all of the super chats and continuing to hold me down. I'm going to be reading super chats throughout the show. Let's continue on with the show. All right. Chicago. It's your turn, Chicago. But guess what? It's biased. He's saying biased. Thank you, messy mathematician. I appreciate you. Thank you. Chicago and Oakland. What up, though? It's your turn, Chicago and Oakland. Listen, we're going to go to two different sides of the country in order to illustrate a couple of points, all right? But we're not even going to talk about the violence in Chicago. I don't have a violent story for Chicago for you. We're going back to the money, and we're going to have a conversation based off of what is going on in Chicago. And I also want to bring it into housing, because a lot of people often ask, well, these landlords are so greedy. Why are they doing this? Why are they continuing to raise the rents, right? Do you know that as my property taxes go up, but then I neglect to actually raise the rents, even though my tenants may be getting raises and promotions and having a good time? Do you know that I'm the one that loses as a result of it? But let me tell you what's going on in Chicago. Not only are their leaders inefficient, crazy, deranged, and incapable of being able to manage the city effectively as far as the violence and the migrant crisis, they're also unable to be able to manage it effectively as far as their finances. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Big story at 4 o'clock, the price to rent, much like everything else, is rising, not just in the cities, but also in the suburbs. Let's show you some examples. According to apartmentlist.com, here's the average cost to rent a two-bedroom apartment. In Arlington Heights, it's nearly $2,000 a month, up 6.5% from last year. Aurora, just about the same, up 5.7%. And in Westmont, it's more than $1,600 a month, up nearly 4%. So what is driving this? One suburban landlord says it all points to an increase in property taxes. NBC5's Lexi Suter has the story.
Paul Backen opened his property tax assessment paperwork 3 weeks ago and was totally shocked.
I said, whoa, wait, what? So that kind of threw me back.
Taxes on his 4-unit Plainfield apartment building went up 55%. That's about $5,000.
Can you imagine? Think about this for a minute. Because it's the same thing. The same principle applies in business across the board. I don't care if you have a restaurant. I don't care if you're a real estate owner. What happens is inflation affects everybody, and often at times the person that has to pay for it is the consumer. So it's not the business owner that's necessarily going to have to deal with it in the same way that you're going to have to deal with it as a consumer. When you talk about the cost of inflation, the cost of doing business, the price of money, exactly what money is, how it is as it's backed by the U.S. Treasury, it all comes back down to the people that are affected the most are the working class, the middle class, the people. Can you imagine getting a 55% increase in your property taxes? 55. Chicago was already one of the places that had some of the highest property taxes in the United States of America. Some of the highest property. Man, I used to talk to friends that was down in Chicago because, you know, Chicago is our sister city. We the big brother, y'all the sister. Chicago is the sister city. We'll just say that we cousins. We kissing cousins. That we don't like to kiss no more. Shout out to Chicago. Chicago has always been a city where I've had friends in. And I was talking to my homie one time, a long time ago, and he was a manager. And I think I told y'all this story before. He was the manager of a really, 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 really famous rapper. Still the manager of a really famous rapper. And he said, Anton, I just got my property tax bill, and it's this much. And he thought that it was normal until I started telling him exactly what my property taxes were. Yet we had the value, our houses was of the same value. And he was like, why are y'all property taxes so much smaller than ours? I don't understand. And they already had some of the highest property taxes in the United States of America. But can you imagine, right out of the blue, that the city then assess you to be 55% higher in property taxes than you were the year before? 1 year increase, 55%. Well, guess who has to pay for that? That has to be passed on to the people that pay the rent. Now, the consumers are the ones that's going to take care of that. See, here's the thing. We keep talking about ownership. What does ownership really mean? Because the property taxes still have to be paid, regardless of whether or not you feel some type of way about it, even if you completely own the house and there's no bank loan on it. So who really owns the house? If somebody, the true owner of property is the person that continues to get paid for it without having to put any money into it. The true owner of somebody or something is if you can get paid for it, but you don't have to put anything into it. That's real ownership. See, we're just leasing, even though we don't necessarily have a mortgage on the property, because it's the city the one that benefit from it because they don't have to put anything into it. That's why when a city is completely decrepit, out of order, everything is trash, so on and so forth, that they're willing to give the property away. And so you would ask yourself, well, why would they give that property away for so cheap? Because they want you to build it up so that they can build a community, possibly gentrify it, and then they can start to raise the property taxes, which increases the payrolls. It's all a trickle-down effect, but it's all meant to take money out of your pocket, which is one of the reasons why you got to look at things from a business perspective. But let's continue with the show.
$1,000 more than he currently pays.
I spoke with the landlord that owns the building next door to mine, and he was in shock also. He said he's never seen anything like it, and he felt the same way.
Paul can't absorb the additional expense on his own, so he says he'll have to break up the burden, meaning his tenants will be on the hook for $100 more a month. He admits it's not ideal.
Knowing how I'm always seeing and reading about, the housing crisis and affordable.
What, you thought that he was going to take that $5,000 a year hit? No, you the one that's got to pay for that. You thought that he was going to take that $5,000 year hit, increase $5,000 more a year in your property taxes. That's just for you to even be able to call yourself an owner. You telling me that he's going to have to? No, he's not going to take the hit. He's going to break that up. Listen, all of y'all going to be paying an extra $100, $125 a month, right? And if the rent go up again, it's because y'all going to have to keep paying an extra $250 a month. And it's not necessarily the landlord. The landlord is just trying to keep his head above water. Often at times they got mortgages and expenses. And when you call and say the water heater is out or the dishwater is off or the dishwasher is off or we got bed bugs, who you think going to have to shoulder that cost? Well, eventually they're going to have to pass that back over into the consumer.
Housing, I feel it's very unfair, the 55% tax increase that I cannot have the burden of, and I have to pass that along to my tenants.
The Will County Assessor's Office says in a statement to NBC5, the Plainfield Township Assessor revalued the subject property along with other properties in the subject neighborhood based on recent sales. For 2023, the assessed value was increased, and this was a 55% increase in value.
I used to be a renter at one point in time in my life, and I understand it, and I'm trying to make it better for my tenants. And understand their point of view, because everything's going up. It's not just this, and it's hard to break even nowadays. It really is.
It's hard to break even nowadays, meaning that the value that he has is based off of, or the money that he makes is not even based off of trying to cash flow the property, because he's just trying to make sure that he stay above water long enough to be able to make sure that you can stay above water and that you got a roof over your head. So he's just trying to stay in business. So most property owners is not even cash flowing their property. That's a myth. Most people, most landlords that own a property, unless you're just a slumlord, they are not cash flowing the property. They are just staying above water when you really take into account the true cost of ownership. And their value is largely based in their net worth, meaning that they're largely depending on a property to increase in value, which also increases the property taxes. And that's how it is that they can substantiate whether or not it's worth it or not to continue to be a landlord. Meanwhile, while we was over in Chicago and they was raising property taxes, they got a bigger problem on their hand over there in Oakland. I bet you didn't even know that the mayor of Oakland was a woman. Did you know that all of these major cities over in California had woman mayors? Ain't that crazy? San Francisco, Oakland, crime is just absolutely exploding. Some of them are black, some of them are white, some of them are Asian. Over in Oakland, they're having community meetings because they saying that, listen, crime is so out of control. Everything is so running rampant. We're defunding the police, where we don't even have any police to even come out to the houses. We don't have no police commissioner. And meanwhile, you have a woman at the helm that is managing everything that's going on with the city. And the residents are now fighting back and they complaining about it.
Hundreds of Oakland residents concerned about rising crime showed up for a community safety meeting today with local officials. The event was hosted by an East Oakland church, but there wasn't room for everyone inside and many neighbors were locked out. ABC 7 News reporter Cornell Bernard has the story.
We first have to acknowledge why we're here. We are in pain. We are suffering.
Oakland neighbors and activists holding this rally, addressing fear over rising crime in their city.
How many of you have had gunshots in your neighborhoods?
Quality of life in Oakland has deteriorated down to a place where myself and many other people are uncomfortable leaving our homes.
The rally held in advance of a community safety meeting at nearby Genesis Worship Center.
The city of Oakland, crime is out of control. It's like the Wild Wild West.
It's why Bishop George Matthews wanted to host the meeting.
Businesses are leaving. People are scared.
There was so much interest from the public, the line to get in stretching around the block.
Shout out to Civ Lap. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. The lines to get in, black people, white people, Asian people, all across the board, they said, listen, we can't even be quiet no more because we scared to come out of our house. You see all of those different types of people? Black, brown, white, it ain't nothing that people want to come together more of and when it comes to the deterioration of their neighborhoods and the safety of their children. They may do the thing that's not in their own best interest. They may go out and tear up things that's not in their own best interest. But the one thing is, when your kid can't even go down the street, that's a problem. They say, listen, we're going to go to church today. We're going to go to church so much right now, and we're going to protest so much that we can't even fit in the building. On Sunday, ain't nobody want to come to hear the community talk about God, but they absolutely want to come and hear about them talk about that crime that's going on in their neighborhoods.
But there wasn't enough room inside, and dozens were shut out and upset.
Set up something in our neighborhood and not talk to us. We're outside, they're in there, but they're not seeing us, they're not hearing us. How are things going to get fixed?
Inside, church leaders apologized, offering people a live stream to watch. Oakland Mayor Shang Tao talked about her investments in...
Shout out to Shang Tsung. Shout out to Shang Tsung. I mean, you know what? I played a little bit too much Mortal Kombat back in my day. Shang Tsung. Fatality. Shout out to Shang Tao. Shout out to Shang Tao. Not Shang Tsung, Shang Tao. Shang Tao is over here trying to be the mayor of Oakland, managing a city less effectively than anybody that came before her. Shout out to Atiba Marshall. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. Shout out to Shang Tao. Out here messing up the bag, not working well with the police, not doing the thing that's in the best interest of the people. And she's trying to have a conversation with the tenants and the people and the Oakland residents, and they're not trying to hear it. They're not trying to hear you, Shane.
Crime prevention, adding security cameras and CHP officers on patrol. Some have demanded a state of emergency be declared, but the mayor disagrees.
And so calling for a state of emergency right now, when we are doing everything that this would allow for us to do too, I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's just political theater.
Mayor Tao says the search continues for a new police.
This is political. She said this is political theater. This is political theater. People are listen, residents are calling for the National Guard. Residents are calling for the National Guard. And she's calling it political theater. Theater.
Chief after LaRon Armstrong was fired last winter. The OPD says violent crime is up 15% this year compared to last. Alameda County DA Pamela Price was asked if she favors perpetrators of crime over crime victims.
I've been representing victims in this community for 30 years. Not only that, I am a survivor of domestic violence.
Neighbors say they know creating a safer Oakland will take time, but Tanya is tired of waiting.
So there's an emotional weight to living in this town that we shouldn't have to carry. And that's what that sign means.
In Oakland, Cornell Bernard, ABC 7 News.
Here, let me add a little bit more context into this because I want y'all to understand what's going on from a policing perspective inside of Oakland also, okay?
The Oakland Police Commission is firing back at Mayor Shang Tao after she blasted them in a live interview with KPIX. Earlier today, Tao pointed fingers at the commission over why the city still hasn't appointed a permanent police chief.
I would call a state emergency if we cannot get the police commission to get its act together so that they can forward to me the top names for a new police chief.
So the mayor, let me get this straight. Shang Tao said that the mayor, cannot appoint a new permanent police chief to even create a safe environment for the residents. And it is up to the commission to actually give her the names of somebody that she can then vet effectively in order to appoint to this position that we can then start to wrangle in all of the criminals and get everything taken together. Okay? This is what she's saying. Now, I just want to give you the full context so that you guys are not completely in the dark as to why we're having this conversation. Let's continue.
If they cannot do that by the end of this year, then I will call for a state of emergency around just the police chief position.
But the police commission told us it is actually the mayor who has slowed the process down in their minds. They said they told the mayor's office last week that they plan to hand over a list of names next month.
I don't actually understand why she feels the need to throw shade at us, a group of unpaid volunteers who are donating an incredible amount of our time.
Wait. David Jordan. I believe that was his name that showed up on the screen. David Jordan, are you telling me that the mayor is interdependent on a group of volunteers that are donating an egregious amount of their time for the city or on the behalf of the city in order to do the thing that's in the best interest of the city? Shout out to Stat Sheet Stuffer. I'm definitely going to be reading that super chat shortly and all of the ones that's before that. The mayor is becoming interdependent on a group of volunteers and throwing stones at a bunch of people in order to find the person that is supposed to be appointed to the police commission position so that we can secure the safety of our residents? Come on. Come on, fam. Come on, fam. You got to be kidding me. Yo, where do we live at? Do we live in a third world country? Are we living in the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Thailand? She's getting paid as the mayor. That is her job, to find a police commissioner and then appoint them and then secure the safety of the city, of the residents of this particular county. And you telling me that she's dependent on a group of volunteers that go to work, do their job every day, and then come together and then try to work feverishly on doing the thing that's in the best interest of the people without even getting paid? Come on, fam. Come on, fam. Oh, we are living in a wild, wild west. Oh my goodness.
To see this process through. Our timeline is public. Everything we do is public.
Mayor Tao fired Chief LaRon Armstrong in February. She said she lost confidence in him amid misconduct claims against the department. She did that against the advice of multiple local groups, including the Oakland chapter of the NAACP.
Wait. So you fired the police commissioner in chief. You fired the police commissioner in chief without a replacement, and now you're pointing fingers at other people for not being able to have somebody readily available to you to appoint to the position that you then, against the wishes of the community and the people that you didn't depend on, and now you're pointing fingers publicly at them in order to absolve yourself of responsibility of really being able to do your job in your position. Come on, fam. Come on, fam. Where they get that at? Where they do that at? Why would anybody even volunteer to be a part of this volunteer board that's working with the mayor, Shang Tsung, in order to do the thing that's in the best interest of the people? Maybe because they have a vested interest in seeing that their neighborhoods become greater. However, it's very, very difficult to do so when you're running with incompetent leadership. And so why are you guys, my question to you is, why are you guys unable to do the thing that's in your own best interest? We got taxes and crime going up simultaneously over in Chicago. We got safety and crime going up simultaneously over in Oakland. And this is just a reflection of what is going on all the way across the board in every single urban community. And it ain't even just the urban communities anymore. It's just communities in general. This is what is happening throughout the United States of America, even to the point to where I am starting to even evaluate whether or not I just want to go and visit random cities just for leisure. If it ain't business, why would I even be there? I heard that they got a huge new rat problem over there in Philly and in New York, so much so to where it's starting to gain national attention, international attention. Oh, don't worry. We're going to be addressing that tomorrow. Make sure that you stay tapped in. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat in order for you to be able to tap into the Patreon. Let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to move on with the show because we got a lot. I told y'all we got a lot to cover today. Civlap says, sometimes I feel like an NPC in the game of life. I keep looking for the strings. Welcome to the Matrix. Shout out to all of my NPCs out here looking to figure out where they got their strings on and why they living in this space and why God is allowing for this to happen to our country. Maybe it's just our time. Maybe it's our time. Atiba Marshall says, Anton meant to say marriage is sacred. Okay, I get it. Between man and woman, best for the black culture is to be married and move as a unit under God. You are a blessing to the culture. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend, for looking at me as a blessing to the culture. I'm going to continue to do the thing that's in the best interest of the people. You know what I'm saying? Symbiose Creative says, I don't mean any harm, but instead of repealing the Second Amendment, we might do better repealing the 19th. It's mostly women who vote for these wokies. Oh, man. You telling me that we need to remove the ability for women to even be able to vote? Now, I'm not the smartest guy or I'm not the sharpest tool inside of the tool shed. However, I believe, let me see what the 19th Amendment is. Give me a second. Let me look it up. What are we about to repeal? 19th Amendment. The 19th Amendment is the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. So I was right. So basically, we need to repeal the ability for somebody to vote based off of their gender. But I don't know. That's going to be a little bit difficult now because anybody can identify as anything that they want, right? Ooh-wee. Ooh, how many of y'all even know? Well, we'll get into that later. Shout out to Zimbios Creative. I agree with you. Maybe we need to evaluate everything. Maybe we need to just bring everything back to the front of the congregation and evaluate it line by line, piece by piece, in order to figure out whether or not this is in our best interest, knowing that we have the luxury of hindsight to look at what it is that we've created for ourselves, right? Marcus Hill says, Anton, I'm a little behind on the show, but question, is living in an area where there are more business like a Detroit all set to increase in property on the people taxes? No, absolutely not, right? I've never seen property taxes go down, A. B, businesses don't necessarily determine whether or not the taxes are going to go up. C, property taxes is largely the vehicle that drive what it is that's happening within your city as far as the schools, so on and so forth. Even the millages, right? You pay for that through your property taxes. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a cheaper way of living. As a matter of fact, most states that don't even have an income tax make up for it through property taxes. They make up through it through other ways. If you look at a Vegas, if you look at a Tennessee, a Nevada, Arizona, Florida, Texas, a lot of them make up a lot of that revenue back from property taxes in a way in which they tax the people. They got to get that income from somewhere, right? So the property tax debate I think it's a much more nuanced debate. It's a much more, it's a technical issue. It's something that I think it would take a little bit more of a deep dive versus just a surface level conversation. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my dog, Marcus Hill is in the building. I appreciate you. Shout out to you. Black Silverchair is in the building. Black Silverchair says, I'm still wondering why these citizens are complaining and whining about the results of what they advocated and voted for. This is democracy at work. It is. These are the things that you guys wanted. Don't sit here and complain about it now. These people that are in office is just a reflection of what it is that you voted for. They're executing on what it is that you protested about. Jamal Parks is in the building. Says, Anton, when trying to get rid of debt, is there a better way to pay off the car note, or is it better to pay off the car note or the credit card first? My credit card is significantly higher and car note is lower, but when car note is paid off, I will allocate more towards the credit. Thanks. No. So the rule of thumb is this, right? A lot of people just go based off of what it is that they heard something like somebody like a David Ramsey or something like that said. And here's the thing. The reason why you want to pay off the credit card first is not only because the balance is bigger, but the balance being bigger also means that you're paying incredibly more in interest, right? You already had a higher interest rate in your credit card and your balance is higher. That means that you're just giving away more free money. The key to paying off debt is not just getting it paid off, but paying off the thing that's killing you the most first, right? When you look at somebody that uses the snowball method, for example, a lot of people like to say, well, I'm going to take the snowball method and I'm going to pay off the least thing first, and then I'm going to snowball it into the bigger thing. And that's a mentality thing because it's meant to get you a small victory in order to keep you on task of trying to pay off the debt as fast as possible, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that the math is mathing. Now, the math is mathing when you do it like this. You want to get rid of the thing that you're paying the most interest on because that is the thing that's costing you the most money. Your credit card interest is more and your balance is higher. You definitely want to tackle that credit card first, and then you want to tackle the car note. Think about it like this. Let's reverse it. Let's say, for example, that I have a very, very low interest rate. Let's say that I have a 1, 2, 3% interest rate on something, a car, a home, whatever, right? Do I want to pay that off first, or do I want to pay off the thing that is 17, 18, 19, 21, 22% interest rate for the credit card? Well, the balance on that house or the balance on that car is more, but essentially you're not going to be saving more money by paying it off faster. You just want the idea that you're out of debt first, right? That's basically free money. Yes, you still have to pay for the car. Yes, it's still debt, but the problem with that is that it's debt, but it's not the thing that's costing you the most in interest, meaning the money that you're giving over to the lender in order to substantiate that you wanted that loan, right? So the thing that you want to pay off first is the thing that's costing you the most money, especially that you're giving away for free, especially if it got the highest balance. You definitely want to pay off the credit card first because it got the highest interest, the highest balance, and it's costing you the most money. And if you look at your statement and you look at how much is going to the interest and how much is going to the principal, you want to get rid of the credit card first, all day, every day. Great question. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. My dog Jamal Parks is in the building. Pay that credit card off, fam, and stop using it. And don't cancel it when you pay it off, because you don't want that. That goes a part of your credit history also, but we'll get into that later. Stat Sheet Stubborn is in the building and says, Anton, I'm coming out of the shadows to remind you some of us are still waiting for that template you talked about dropping in the Patreon. I need to get to this bag, big homie. Drifts back into the darkness. You are talking about the resume template that I told you guys as far as the life hack that I gave you, of how it is that I make $500,000 to $1 million more every single year. If you are a bag chaser, I will drop that for you this weekend. If you're a bag chaser, I will drop the template for you. I got to reconfigure it. One of the reasons why I didn't drop it immediately is because the way that I created it was I created it in Photoshop and then I converted it over into a PDF, right? And the reason why I converted it over into a PDF, well, I used Photoshop in order to create it a long time ago, converted it over into a PDF so that it could actually be consumable for, whoever it is that I'm sending it to. And then that's the way in which you're able to leverage that position and then creating visibility for yourself and separating yourself from the pack in order to really get to that bag, right? But I got to convert it over so it's easier for you guys to be able to consume it. So I got to move it over into a Word document. I got to redo some of the images and things like that to make it easy for you guys to customize the template for yourselves so that you can then just throw in your name, throw in whatever your qualifications are. You can just add whatever context that you want to add into it, and then you can send it over into wherever it is that you're trying to get the job from, right? So I had to work on that to modify it because I know a lot of people are not good at Photoshop. A lot of people don't know how to use certain software. A lot of people don't know how to use certain programs. So I had to give it something that I can help you guys to modify it more easily so that it'd be easier for you guys to actually be able to use it. What's the point of giving you the information if you then don't know how to use it? You don't know how to customize it in order for it to work for you, right? So I'll drop that for you guys this weekend. I'll work feverishly on it. I got a little bit of capacity. I don't have to travel anywhere this weekend. I'll probably go over to the Detroit Auto Show this weekend, North American International Auto Show. But we'll see. But I got to convert that over for you guys. That's why it's taking me a little bit longer. And so you guys will have that this weekend. Shout out to the Patreon members. Y'all really utilizing this information for y'all benefit. I love that. That's why I want to invest in y'all business. Enforcer 2K9 says, looking at the state of our society right now, I think I finally understand the phrase we're living in the last days. We've been living in the last days a long time, my friend. I'm not even sure it's going to be over yet. Not in your lifetime. Reem Beam says Latinos will replace y'all and destroy y'all. And then they're going to be the new black people. You know what I'm saying? Ash is in the building. My guy says women should not vote unless they own property, run a business, or married, or served in the military. Let me throw that in there too. Shout out to my dog. Coach Karan says property taxes, etc., also enrich unions and city workers, police, etc., and pay for their pensions. It does. Let me throw you that one. That is absolutely correct. Black Silverchair says, hey, Anton, how's the prospects of healthcare in Detroit and the surrounding areas? I'm graduating as a nurse practitioner next year. I want to move. It is great. It depends on what type of nurse you're going to become. Are you going to be a traveling nurse? Are you just going to be a regular nurse practitioner? So give me a ring. Send me a message on the Patreon or email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com, and I will definitely have you guys linked up and give you all the information that I may have or connect you with people that's within my network that can give you more information. Shout out to you. Shout out to everybody that's holding me down. I appreciate y'all for the super chats. I'm going to continue to read them throughout the show. Thank you, guys. Let's kick it. Let's go into the next thing. So now we got to start getting into my dog, Larry Elder. I told y'all I had a show for y'all today. We're going to have a lot that we covering. We got a lot that we going over. So we make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Shout out to my people on Facebook. Shout out to my people over there on YouTube. We going on Rumble next week, so that's going to be absolutely awesome. Fatherless homes. Now, I believe personally, and this is one of the reasons why Larry Elder speaks to me, right? Larry Elder speaks to the sentiments of my heart. He really does. And I'm not sure that I would necessarily vote for him for president because, I'd have to hear all of the different competing candidates in order to make an informed decision. He was held out of the presidential debate that recently went on the Republican side. But Larry Elder speaks the sentiments of my heart, because I too believe that the biggest problem that we have in society today has nothing to do with inflation, has nothing to do with crime. And although these things are huge, has nothing to do with the culture, has nothing to do with women, has nothing to do with men, has nothing to do with any of that. It all stems from, and if you want to solve for the problem, you have to go to the core root of the issue. I believe that the biggest issue in our society today is fatherless homes. Now, you already know what I think as far as who the ones that are the biggest culprits as far as creating these fatherless homes. You know how I feel about family court. And just because I may not necessarily be suffering as a result of it does not mean that I am not a part of it, because no one man is bigger than the group, and the ones that have the ability to speak should, especially when you have a platform. But I believe that the core root of the majority of the problems that we see happening in the United States of America, including the people that are voting for whoever it is that are in office, it is all based off of fatherless homes. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Let's get into it.
I'm running because there are a number of issues that we are not talking enough about, if at all. And I've said this many times. The number one social issue in America that nobody's talking about is the epidemic of fatherlessness.
Yep.
It is particularly acute in the black community. 70% of black kids in the world today without a father in the home, married to the mother, up from 1965 when it was 25%.
That is a crazy stat. That is a crazy stat. 75% up from, listen, 25% is a lot. 25% is a lot. 70% of homes within the black community, which is one of the reasons why we're the overwhelmingly majority of the jails, overwhelmingly the majority of those that commit the violent crimes. Poverty, least educated, trauma bonding, overglorified babysitters as teachers instead of people that have the ability to be able to teach our kids. Family court system. Everything that you can possibly think of across the board that is wrong with the community, shout out to Fi Brown, I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly, can be tied to the issues that we have in our relationships with each other. So when I see the community coming together, trying to have a conversation about why men ain't masculine and why women ain't feminine, it can largely be tied to this core root of the problem, in that you don't even believe in having a marriage before you open up your legs to the man that's not best for you in the first place. What do you think is going to happen when you then enable your kid to not have to be or don't have a father? What do you think is going to happen? Shout out to Core P or Core Pay. I appreciate you. I'm going to read that super chat shortly. What do you think is going to happen when 3 out of every 4 people that lay down with somebody decide that they lay down with somebody who they don't even think is a suitable parent? What do you think is going to happen? Huh?
Now 25% of white kids enter the world today without a father in the home, married to the mother. Half of Hispanic kids do. It is far and away the number one social problem facing this country. And the numbers are clear. When you're raised without a dad, you're 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crime. 9 times.
Why would you put your kid in that position? You're 5 times more likely to be poor. If you say you're trying to get to the bag, why would you want to put your kid in a position to be 5 times more likely, statistically speaking? This is not our opinion. This is not what it is that we feel. This is not how it is that we see society. This is not based off of an emotion. You are 5 times, according to the data, more likely to be poor being raised in a single parent household, and exponentially more when you're being raised by a single mother. Yet we have single parents and single mothers giving you advice on how it is that you're supposed to find a spouse, yet they can't find one themselves. How ironic, huh?
More likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in jail. And
20 times more likely to end up in jail. 9 times more likely to drop out of school. 9 times more likely to drop out of school. 20 times more likely to end up in jail. Those are some stats for you right there. Before we even start the deep dive into the video, those are some stats for you. Now, how can you not like Larry Elder? Oh, he's whitewashed. No, he's telling you the absolute positive truth. As a 70-year-old man, he is telling you the truth. You are 5 times more likely, 9 times more likely, 20 times more likely to end up in jail, to drop out of school, and to be poor. What about that can't you understand? And why would you still put your kid at a disadvantage thinking that you know what's best for them when you won't even do the thing that's in their own best interest? Why don't you think that that is one of the reasons or one of the ways in which we can solve for on an individual and a collective basis as to what's wrong within the community? Why would you do that to your kids? We know you don't love you, but why would you do it to them? I mean, we know you don't love you, but why would you do it to them?
And the left isn't talking about it because they created the problem. Our side doesn't talk about it because if you're white, you're going to be called racist. If you're black, you'll be called Uncle Tom or the black face of white supremacy. But nobody's talking about it, including Donald Trump.
Okay.
And so, if I can get people talking about this, I will feel I've given back to my country and given back to my party.
I got a follow-up question for you on that.
Okay.
Continue if you have other things you want to say.
Just one more thing. When I was trying to make this case on Charlemagne, and of course they were not having it. Here's the deal. According to the CDC, a young black man aged 10 to 43 is 13 times more likely to be murdered than a white male, same demo. Blacks account for 60% of the shootings, robberies, and the homicides in America.
13.6% of the population, 60% of the crime. 13.6% of the population, 60% of the violent crime. Let me guess, it's the system. Let me guess, it's the fact that we don't get reparations. It's the white man's fault. Segregation. We don't have our own schools for us, by black people. Private white institutions. Alphabet community. Martin Luther King fought. He led us into a burning house. Malcolm X, he didn't stay in the nation. Amistad, give us free. Whose fault is it? At what point do we then take some personal responsibility and saying that, yo, I got to do things a little bit different? Brother Polite's fault. He in jail now. Polygamy. Anton Daniels' fault. It's just Pearly Thing's fault. No, it's just Pearly Thing's fault. Maybe it's O'Shea Dukes Jackson's fault. Earn Your Leisure's fault. Anybody's fault but the person that's looking in the mirror. It's got to be somebody else's fault. It can't be my mama. It can't be my daddy. It can't be the fact that they couldn't close their legs. It can't be my fault that I'm still doing the thing that's not in my best interest and the thing that I see my father and my parents do. It can't be the lack of discipline. And it can't be the fact that I keep voting the way that I'm voting. It can't be the fact that you continue to be the worst thing for yourself and your community by not doing the thing that's in your best interest by telling on a person that you know who the killers are. It can't be none of that. It gotta be Charlemagne's fault and DJ Envy's fault and Puffy's fault and Jay-Z's fault and the prison industrial complex fault. It gotta be Bill Gates' fault. Bill Gates gotta somehow be turned into this. Gotta be Patrick Bet-Davis' fault. Or maybe it's Larry Elder. Or maybe it's Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. Got to be the left's fault. No, it got to be the right fault. It got to be Obama's fault, Biden's fault, somebody else's fault. Yo, at what point is it going to be your fault for what it is that you subject yourself to and the thing that you continue to perpetuate that is then going to be transferred over into your children? It's Barney's fault. I love you. You love me. We're a happy family. Tyler Perry's fault. Set It Off's fault. Vivica Fox. Jamie Foxx. Logan Paul. Pick one. Which one is it? Whose fault is it?
A young white man, 19 and under, the number one cause of preventable death for a young white man in that demo is accidents, like car accidents or drownings or drug overdoses. The number one cause of preventable death for a 19-year-old black male and under is homicide, almost
That's insane.
always committed by another young black male.
So the number one reason for death for a young white man is an accident or an overdose, opioid crisis. He probably riding on a motorcycle, right? The number one cause for a young white man in death is basically technology. Driving a 3,000-pound missile down the street, being reckless. Maybe somebody ran into you, they rear-ended you, they T-boned you, or whatever, so on and so forth. The number one cause of death for a young black man is another young black man. All tied back to how it was that you were raised and the environment that you decided to subject your children to because you made a choice to open up your legs to somebody that wasn't best for you. The number one cause of black death for young men are other men that look like them. The number one cause of death amongst white men are things outside of what they look like. So this completely puts to rest the idea of crime being an opportunity based off of proximity. Yes, the majority of crime will be committed against you by people that live close to you. Otherwise, they couldn't run into you. They couldn't T-bone you. They couldn't sell you the drugs, so on and so forth. But again, that takes a level of personal responsibility of what it is that you subject yourself to. That means that we're now taking it out of our hands, and we then have to be responsible for how it is that we influence people and what it is that we put into them, including the mothers and the fathers of the people that walk down the street and perpetuate the same crimes against the people that look like them. Yet is somebody right now. There is a woman somewhere and a man somewhere. And they got spiked hair. They breath stink. It is 12:17 p.m. Eastern. And they just got done smoking trees. And the liquor store is open, so now that they can go and get some Hennessy, some Henneke. Right? Probably ain't even got no job. He sell trees. That's so played out. He sell trees, she do hair, and sell bundles. He also do PPP loans, and she a skimmer. She do the credit card thing. They 22, 23 years old, and before they go out at night, because you know that they sleep a very, very, very long time, so they got to get their 10 hours of sleep. So they just went to bed at 12. They just got up at 12. They're first, before they go out at night, you know what they're going to do? They got to have sex. And they got to procreate. They have to have more kids. Because in their mind, the number one thing that's wrong with the community is the fact that we keep having Planned Parenthood in our community. Oh, it's not our choices. It's not the things that is worse for us. It's not the things that we decide to do and who it is that we open up our legs to. Now, she know that it's a strong possibility that this man is going to be in jail for the rest of his life, but she's going to hold all black men accountable, and then she's also going to donate $5 to $10, hitting the Cash App for Dr. Umar Johnson, and she's going to put her little munchkin inside of Dr. Umar's school if it opens within the next 15 years, because that'll be a 30-year window instead of the 15-year window. She's going to then fall into the trap of the Dr. Umar Johnson, Derek Jackson, and then she's going to get Boyce Watkins as a financial advisor. And they're going to hold the black men in the community responsible for her opening up her legs to a guy she knew was going to go to jail for the next 10 to 15 years. But his true dream was to make it out of the hood and be a rapper. Did I call it, or did I identify it, or did I identify it? Did I call it, or did I literally just break down your cousin? Tell your cousin to come over here and look at the Millionaire Morning Show and ask him if I profiled him correctly. She's a boss chick. And after her man go to jail, she then going to take up the mantle and then wear his chain, because he probably going to get X'd in jail and she gonna become a rapper herself. So her next move is then to become big as a rapper, and so she had to find a way out. And then all of the black women in the community is gonna be saying, yes, girl, I feel you. Stand up for yours. Get that shit. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to curse. I'm trying to get that 30 million. All of the women in the community gonna be saying she had to make a way, and it ain't her fault that she wound up getting left alone. Now, she knew that he was scamming. She knew that Biden had created the moratorium for another 10 years to be able to come and get this dude. That PPP loan wasn't going to last forever. She knew that he was out here stealing Chargers and Hellcats and racing and driving around with no license, and he was dirty and selling weed at the same time. She knew eventually that the law was going to catch up with him, but she loved him, and it was his fault, right? Now, he in jail. He doing 10 to 15. They got a little munchkin out here. You supposed to do the right thing, even though you wasn't doing no scamming. You was going to school. You was going to work every day. You don't owe nobody no money. And you supposed to come and marry her, even though her baby daddy getting out of jail for good behavior in 7 to 9. And you supposed to fix the community and then make sure that you become the step baby daddy. At some point, y'all, we going to have to stop watching Menace to Society play out in real life in our lives and start taking some ownership and personal responsibility of what it is that we doing every day. Shout out to Larry Elder. Let me read some of these super chats. Let me read a few of these super chats, because I don't want to keep profiling, because then y'all gonna be saying that you ain't feeling it and all of that. I don't want to keep profiling. I just want to get straight to the money. You know me, I'm a bag chaser. Shout out to all of my bag chasers. Shout out to my dog, Fi Brown. Fi Brown says, yo, big dog, working, so I'm a little behind on the show. Here's lunch on me. For all of the value, game, and entertainment, you bring us the money. And yes, we need that Candace interview. That would be gold. I think her and Rita would hit it off. Shout out to my dog, Fi Brown. Shout out to my dog, Fi Brown. I appreciate you for holding me down with the super chat. Core P says, Anton, I've been watching the show for about a year now. Thank you for sharing your time, knowledge with us. I appreciate you. Thank you, my friend. And thank you for watching the show and being a loyal watcher for over a year. You are very much appreciated. Thank you. Duncan Fitness says, Anton, I have an interview at a hiring event for a second job. Do you have any tips for me? I really need that job, but I don't want to seem desperate. No, I think you should show some level of desperate. Listen, don't show desperate. It could be translated differently. Show enthusiasm, okay? A lot of times, hiring managers want to hire the person that's excited to be there, or the person that seems the most enthused for the job. So don't let your pride get in the way of being able to communicate exactly how it is that you want to get that job. Another tip, and I'm not going to give you all of the tips because you need to watch that video inside of the Patreon called Interview Like a King. Almost guarantee you're going to get that job if you watch that video inside of the Patreon called Interview Like a King. But another thing that you want to pay attention to is that you have to understand that it's just as much of an interview of them as it is of you. A lot of people, what they do is they go into an interview and they're looking to answer all of the right questions correctly and then show a level of stoic, firm perspective and that they don't want to seem desperate for the job. No, show a level of enthusiasm. Also show that you're intelligent and then make them like you, right? 15% of the interview is going to be based off of your skill set, but they already know what that is, and you probably know all of the answers because you are good at what you do, and it's the reason why you got the interview in the first place. The other 85% of the interview is based off of your personality, being personable, showing that you're easy to work with, that you're going to fit into the culture, and then you also have to show a level of confidence, right? It's all based off of how you present yourself, not necessarily what it is that you say. Even if you don't know the answer, if you communicate to them, listen, I don't necessarily know the answer to that right away, but for example, if you're an engineer, part of being an engineer is finding answers to things that you know not of yet. And so being able to solve for it and saying that, yo, but I will stay up all night in order to be able to find the answer that I need in order to get us to where it is that we got to go. That is a better answer than the person that's pretending to know the answer and not knowing the answer and saying the wrong thing. Right? So you have to have a level of confidence. You have to show a level of enthusiasm for the position. You want to follow up with them to let them know that you're still excited about the position, even after the interview. Make sure that you ask great questions based off of what was communicated in the interview and not just that's pre-planned. So you want to listen effectively. You want to really participate. You want to really be in tune with what it is that they're saying. Make them like you. Identify a little bit of what it is that's great about them. Study them before you go into the interview. Find out who your interviewer is. Look them up on LinkedIn. Look up their background. Try to find something that y'all connect with. Being able to communicate effectively and also understanding who it is that you're dealing with is part of the process. The same way that you want to vet out that chick and you going in her Instagram and her social media to understand who she is before you take her out, before you send her a DM, there's the same type of research you should be doing when it comes to the person that you're interviewing with, right? So find out, if you can, understand who's going to be in there, the technical lead or whatever it is that you're doing. I don't know what the position is, but do some research. But more importantly, go and look at the interview video that I got in the Patreon called Interview Like a King. Guarantee you it's going to give you the position all the time. 10 times out of 10, everybody that's watched that video said that it was a gold mine and they got the position after it. Shout out to you and congratulations on your interview. I already know that you're going to get it. Shout out to you for that second job. Shout out to Duncan Fitness. I appreciate you for the question. Let's move on with the show. I want to get over to the UAW. I want to get over into the y'all get so much game here. Y'all get too much sauce here. It's too much sauce. Too much sauce. I can't keep giving y'all all of this game. I can't keep giving y'all all of this game. This is too much sauce. Too much sauce for free. And you ain't even got the likes up. The likes is low. I might have to go over to a Teach Hanley commercial. Kev Reviews Plus. He'll tell you. He just told you inside of the chat. He said, listen, as a hiring IT manager, I can confirm all of the advice Anton is giving is gold. I live this. You got this, fam. Have confidence. Don't be too nervous. Make sure you dress for the position that you want, not the position that you have. You got this. You got it. All right, let's go ahead and get into the next thing because we got a couple more things that we want to cover. I want to get into the UAW. All right. Shout out to Black Silver Cherry. He said, I just joined the Patreon. Shout out to you. Congratulations to all of the new bag chases and the Patreon members. I appreciate you, big dog. Yeah. Ford and the UAW. Now, I've been covering this story. I've been on top of it. I am largely familiar with what's going on in the auto industry and how it's going to affect all of their suppliers as a result of it. I've seen what happened over at UPS as far as them getting all of that money over there. They got their contract negotiated by the Teamsters and they hit the ball out of the park. UPS is going to be probably raising prices in order to pass that over into the consumers. Inflation is going to continue to go up. And the UAW seen that and they said, listen, we want our share too. We want our fair share too. And Ford responded, right? GM, they said, we don't like what it is that you're doing at GM. We gonna cut off talks. Stellantis, y'all better show up. Stellantis then responded, and then Ford came back with the best offer in the 80-year history of the UAW and the partnership with the United Automakers, or with the automakers, the United States automakers. And so this is where we at. So 48 hours, less than 48 hours before the UAW strike, and they say that we walking off the job because we don't necessarily like what's happening here. Now we have Ford making their most lucrative offer in history. And I'm going to give you my opinion of what I think is going to happen. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Clock is ticking. We have less than 43 hours to go until the United Auto Workers Union is threatening a strike against the Big Three.
Now, the Ford Motor Company has put a new offer on the table in hopes of keeping workers on the job. Ford CEO Jim Farley calls it the most lucrative offer in 80 years of working with the UAW.
Farley says that it includes large pay increases, what he calls top 1% health care, and the addition of inflation protection. Ford's offer eliminates wage tiers, which is a key point for the UAW.
This will be the most lucrative offer and will require a lot of belt tightening at the company. We're very optimistic that we can reach an agreement with the UAW.
So it's funny because Ford just unveiled the updated version at the F-150, which I am looking forward to going and seeing at the auto show. Last year, we went to the charity preview, which was good. You know, you see me with my tux on, my suit and tux. I seen a few people there. I had on the Submariner. We went and seen D-Nice partying over in Eastern Market. And so we had a great time. It was a phenomenal time, right? And the CEO, Jim Farley, recently made an offer over into the UAW, and they said that it's the most lucrative offer ever. So let's specifically address what it is that this is listing. Large pay increases. Obviously, they don't want to say how much because they're still at the negotiating table and they have less than 48 hours in order to come to a conclusion, which they would then extend over into their membership for a vote to see whether or not they agree with it. But it's the UAW's job, the leadership at the UAW, right, for them to negotiate on the behalf of its members. Top 1% healthcare. Now, that's one thing that people have always had a job at the UAW or at these automakers, Ford, Chrysler, and GM. They've always said that, man, the healthcare is great, the benefits is great, so on and so forth, right? Added inflation protection. I'm assuming that they're basically saying that their wages and the things that they have as a total compensation package will largely be in line with the fact that the cost of living continues to go up. And so they want to make sure that it's at least in line with inflation, meaning that if inflation is at 6%, 7%, then the protections or the wage increases would largely be associated with that, all right? And then last but not least, a lot of people are not familiar with the tiered system, right? The tiered system is something that came into place during the Obama administration, right? We had so many layoffs amongst automakers and downsizing because people were largely losing their homes, not paying their car notes. It was defaults all the way across the board. And it was a lot of layoffs at that particular time. And so in order to get the auto industry humming again, they did a few things. One of the things that they did was they extended loans and they allowed for Chrysler and GM to file for bankruptcy and then reconfigured their debt and largely get rid of a lot of their debt, which stuffed a lot of their suppliers and everybody that supported those automakers. It stuffed them with large figure debts, but Obama said everybody got to take a haircut. Ford was one of the only automakers that didn't file for bankruptcy. And that was largely based off of Alan Mulally, who came from Boeing, I believe. He came from an airline company, right, in order to come over as CEO of Ford. And then they basically mortgaged the entire Ford brand, including the logo itself, in order to stay in business. Now, that's how they seen this coming a long time ago. And so they were able to avoid bankruptcy, Ford and Tesla. Tesla was coming into fruition and they was basically going out of business practically. They were able to avoid bankruptcy while Chrysler and GM did file for bankruptcy. But a part of what it is that they negotiated in order to be able to get those loans from the Obama administration and from the federal government, and they had to get those loans. You know why they had to get the loans? Because they had already gave the loans out to the banks. They said that the banks was too big to fail. And so in order to justify giving the money to the banks, the automakers was also able to get a leg up because they were the backbone of what was being manufactured here in the United States of America, including all of the suppliers, okay? So then they created a tier system. The tier system allowed for people that were already within these automakers that did still have a job that wasn't laid off, maintain whatever it is that their current level of compensation was. The second tier or the two-tier system allowed for them to hire them at a lower rate that allowed for them to compete worldwide and hopefully keep more jobs here in America. Maybe I should run for office. Maybe I should run for office at the UAW or something like that because I am so familiar and I am so aware and intimately familiar with the history of all of these companies are and why it is that they are in the situation that they're in, which give you more context as to how they can negotiate a more fair contract, right? But the two-tier system allowed for them to, A, satisfy the current workers and that they didn't have to force them to get a haircut, and then B, it was to hopefully encourage more jobs, encourage competition across America, and then also on top of that, allow for them to become more profitable, which then allowed for them to then move into the next generation of workers and compensation and reinvestment back into the automakers to give them solid footing, which it did. And we have to, even though I do not like the Obama administration, we have to give him some credit for being able to shepherd the auto industry through the crisis that Bush and Clinton let them into in the years prior. We have to. I am an equal accountability smoke giver, but I also have to give credit where credit is due. Obama was the one that shepherded them through this whole crisis in 2008 when he got elected that allowed for them to then become a more profitable system and save all three automakers. That is a fact. They created the two-tier system to allow for them to then create jobs for more people, which people were just happy to get a job back then, right? But now these same two-tier workers are saying, oh, we don't like these automakers no more. Even though you gave us a position, even though we didn't have anything, you gave us a job when we didn't have anything, and now we want to eliminate the tier system, or we going to strike. So that is really basically what it is that we're looking at right now, okay?
The most lucrative offer, and will require a lot of belt tightening at the company. We're very optimistic that we can reach an agreement with the UAW.
Now, the union is calling for a 46% pay increase, the elimination of two-tier wage systems, restoration of cost of living pay, and retiree health coverage, along with a 32-hour work week.
And
now that's the one thing that I wouldn't be going for. That's the one thing that I would not be going for. I would not be going for no 32-hour work week. Listen, you asking for a bit too much now. I'm willing to give you the increases. I'm willing to tighten belts. We're willing to take on less white-collar workers, whatever it is that you want to do. But let's be clear. A 32-hour work week is unreasonable. A 32-hour work week is unreasonable. Retiree health coverage is a completely different conversation. A lot of people don't even know that. Well, I get into that later. That's going to be saved for tomorrow's show. Don't worry about it.
7 Action News reporter Peter Maxwell is joining us live right outside the UAW Solidarity Center. And Peter, how are plants in Metro Detroit, how would they be impacted?
Well, a total of 25 plants would be, impacted across Metro Detroit, and that's over 140,000 UAW workers that would be out on the picket lines. And there are 13 Ford plants included in that, 5 GM plants, and 7 Stellantis plants. We are now less than 48 hours away before a major strike between the Big Three and the UAW.
Definitely a lot of emotions. You know, I've been through this before, unfortunately.
Will Norona, a longtime UAW member, currently works at GM's Hamtramck Plant 0, and 4 years ago was his last strike. And that strike
we're going to be reading Super Chat shortly. Thank you, guys.
Lasted 2 months. His t-shirt has the names in Sharpie of his fellow co-workers who stood by him, and those times, he says, were tough.
This was my shirt from the strike from 2019.
Ford CEO Jim Farley responding with a new counteroffer, which he calls it the most lucrative deal in 80 years. And this deal includes large pay increases, top 1% healthcare, he says, adding inflation protection, and he says they're going to be dropping the tiered labor. UAW President Shawn Fain has yet to respond to Ford's new counteroffer. The UAW does have a strike fund with over $825 million in it, but it's just enough to pay over 140,000 UAW members $500 per week for 11 weeks.
That ain't gonna cut it, buddy. They got a strike fund with about $825 million in it, and what it would do is it would allow for them to get $500 a week in strike pay for what, 11 weeks?
Living on $500 a week, you know, it's just, 2 words, just not fair.
Norona says while it may be difficult, he says,
how you gonna say it's not fair when you're the one that's choosing to strike? I just hate this victim mentality that's going on in the United States of America. I can't stand this victim mentality.
He is ready to stand by his fellow union members.
We're not greedy. We're not lazy. You know, there's profit sharing, but there's profit sharing across the board for GM and their managers and their leadership, you know, and they get a lot more than we do.
And most workers who go on strike will not be eligible for unemployment. Now, if a union member does find other work and they're making over $500 a week during that other job, they're not eligible for that $500 strike pay per week.
Woo! If you got a second job, you don't get strike pay. But no, the union leader, the guy that's at the forefront of this movement that's advocating for this, he has something to say. So after Ford made the most lucrative offer in 80 years, and it's less than 48 hours, basically less than 2 days, before the union deciding whether or not they want to strike based off of the negotiations that's happening across the board, he has something to say. He had a response to it.
Hi, Joe. Let's bring in Shawn Fain, president of the United Auto Workers, joining us from Detroit. Shawn, thanks for joining us this morning. Lots to discuss here. Let's start first off with where negotiations stand right now, less than 48 hours until the deadline. Is the union coming off of its request or demand, I should say, for a pay hike of 36% over the next 4.5 years?
First of all, it was 46%, but we're going to continue. I'm going to need the pundits over there on Squawk Box to do a better job of understanding exactly what was asked. I believe it was 46%, not 36%.
We're asking for double-digit pay increases. We have been. We've been very upfront about that from the get-go. And what's good for the CEOs is good for the members. Our members help generate those massive profits, the $250 billion in profits they've recognized in the last decade, the $21 billion in profits the big three have recognized in the first 6 months. So, the CEOs gave themselves a 40% pay increase over the last 4 years. Our members deserve a hell of a lot better than where they are. We went back.
And he's wrong on that. The CEOs did not give themselves pay increases. The CEOs negotiated based off of the equity that they get in the company that's largely tied to the performance of the company itself, that gives shareholders and stockholders and board members success. So as the company becomes more successful, that's largely where CEO compensation is tied to. If you look at the base pay of CEOs, that's not where they make the majority of their money. They make the majority of their money off the bonuses and off the performance of the company itself, because it also gives value over to the shareholders. CEO compensation is basically tied to that. So this is a white lie, all right? This basically tells you, or it gives a protesting point, and it paints a picture that's not fully accurate, and it's accurate, but it's a white lie. So when somebody may tell you something, but they don't add the additional context, or they say it in a way to where it paints it as though they're the villains, it's disingenuous. It's disingenuous. A CEO can lose their job in 1 or 2 years. Before Jim Farley, who was the CEO of Ford, the guy that was that was in the CEO position prior to that was only in his position for like 1 or 2 years, and then he completely lost his job and he had to go and find another job. So please stop it. Please stop it. I don't want to hear it. Brittany says, yeah, Anton, all that work is done by the members, so same thing, stop it. No, y'all up there putting in bolts. These people are managing crisis. They going over there and they're negotiating. They finding suppliers. They got to go in and manage an entire evolution over into the EV industry that's largely spearheaded by Tesla. They got to go and negotiate. They got to deal with semiconductor chip shortages. They got to go and make sure that they crunching the numbers. They got to come up with the good designs. All y'all got to do is build what it is that they put together. I'm not going for it. You're never going to sit here and tell me that y'all put in the same amount of work as the people at the top. Because if y'all were, then y'all would be compensated accordingly. If you could, then you would go over to a completely different space, and then you would be paid way more to do some of the same things that you're doing, because that would mean that they value what it is that you do just as much as they value that person as a CEO that can go to any Fortune 500 company and get another job tomorrow, probably making more or exceptionally more as a result of it. Why do you think that it's so easy to replace a lot of what these UAW members are doing with robotics? Why do you think that a lot of these jobs is going away? It's not because y'all are so valuable. It's because they can get a monkey to do it. That's a fact. They're automating your jobs because they don't see the value in what it is that you bring, because you're asking for 32-hour work weeks and less work with more pay based off of what somebody else got and not based off of your own merits. See, when I walk into a negotiating table, I'm walking in based off of what it is that I can add into the company, not based off of what somebody else got. And that's the difference. If I'm so easily replaced, then that would mean that I'm less valuable than the person that's making a decision to replace me in the first place. And see, this is the thing that they're not telling y'all. This is why y'all not going over there and getting more education and then moving over into different positions. This is the reason why people have worked for 30 and 40 years. And let's be clear, I am very appreciative of all of these people. I am very appreciative of all of the people that is doing their jobs effectively and is not doing nothing illegally. But let's be clear, if you are easily replaceable, that does not give you the same value as a CEO. You do not do the same thing. You do not make the same decisions. Your compensation is not tied to what it is that you do. Your compensation is not tied directly to whatever it is that's happening to the shareholders. You are going to get your check as long as they are open, as long as you can go to work. You are going to get your check regardless of what it is that you do on a daily basis or not. Their compensation, their job, they are for hire. They are not protected. It is largely tied to the value that they bring into the company, and that's why they're able to negotiate equity into the company and not necessarily just be able to protest their way into the company. It's a difference. It's a difference, and this is why I want my bag chasers and the people here at the Millionaire Morning Show to start thinking differently about the value that they bring, and that's why they want to continue to educate themselves. That's why they want to continue to get new skills. That's why they want to continue to jump from job to job every 3 to 4 years, maybe even 2 to 3 years, depending on what it is that they're looking for, because your compensation is largely tied to what you can negotiate, and the only thing that you can negotiate is the value that you bring. I don't want y'all sitting here running in the Victim Olympics and listen, God bless them if they get the contract that they want. God bless them if they get a 32-hour work week. God bless them if they get a 46% pay raise. But the one thing that I can guarantee you, and you ain't got to like me, but you absolutely going to respect it. The one thing that I can give you, the one thing that I can guarantee you is that your children will not have the same opportunities as you. You know why? You know why? Because they're going to automate and add artificial intelligence, and they're going to make it much easier to be able to build these factories without you. I just did a factory tour about a month ago. You know what I seen inside of the factory? Robots for hundreds of yards. I barely even seen a worker in there. You know why? Because they don't see you as valuable based off of the fact that you continue to stand in that same spot and do the same job, which is respectable. We need you for now. But we're going to out-automate your job in order to make sure that we continue to add value into the company. And Ford, GM, and Stellantis, or whatever version of it is going to continue way after you gone. And you will never be able to get your kid a job there unless they become a software engineer. Unless they become some sort of cybersecurity professional, unless they get an MBA, learn how to understand the culture, add value, understand business, and then be able to level up within the company as far as going up to the C-suite. Other than that, it's over. Yesteryear is done. This is the last good contract that you are going to get that you will then be able to benefit from long term. My advice to you is this is a business. You are forever in competition. And at some point, you're going to have to educate yourself and give yourself multiple streams of income because the things of yesteryear is over. It's gone. It's done. It's over. It's over. I hate to be the one to tell you this. I hate to be the one that step in and then have to be big brother to you. I hate to be the one to have to give you the game, but I'm trying to tell you, stop waiting on the company and thinking that you're going to protest your way to success. It's the same thing that black people thought was going to happen when it came to civil rights. You know what they did? They created an opportunity for somebody else to give them what they want temporarily so that they can then out-innovate them long-term, and then they hijacked the civil rights movement in order to make it something else so that they didn't have to deal with them anymore. It's the same thing that's happening in business today. You think that they're not paying attention to what's going on with the negotiations today so that they can then automate the process and spend way more money to not have to deal with you long term in order to then either move the work over into another country or make sure that they innovate enough to where they don't even need you from a job perspective. I'm trying to tell you how they think. You know why? Because that's why they pay me the big bucks. They pay me in corporate America to figure out how we don't need you. That's what user experience is. That's what I do for a living. I go into companies and I figure out how we don't fucking need you and how we can out-innovate you so that we no longer dependent on you in order to do the thing that you're supposed to do in the first place. Because one of the number one things that's wrong with manufacturing or problems in America or anything that we build is the human element. It has nothing to do with what it is that we're doing from a business perspective. That's why they pay me the big bucks. That's why I'm a mother effing millionaire, because they pay me to figure out how to get rid of you. And I'm trying to give you the game. I'm trying to help you to understand how to look at things differently. I'm trying to help you to understand that the only way for you to really be able to thrive and survive and live in an abundant life going forward, your children is not going to be able to come into the same thing that you came into. You're not coming into the same thing that your father went into. I'm trying to give you the game from the perspective of a person that sees it on a daily basis. This is why they pay me so much money. But you don't want to hear me because you in your feelings right now. You think that it's union solidarity. Let me tell you something. When you get laid off from your job, they ain't going to have nothing solid for you. When you get laid off from your job, there will be nothing solid for you. You can click off if you want to. This is the best advice you're going to get. This is the thing that your father should have told you. This is the thing that your father should have told you. Nobody is coming to save you, ever. Get what you can now, make the adjustment for the long term, and do not depend on the union to save you from your job because they cannot save you. Money Mixes in the building says, just found that I have all of my core credits. Now I'm looking for an accelerated CIS program. This is step one. Shout out to Money Mix in the building. I appreciate you for the super chat. Aaron says, soon a new Ford EcoSport is going to cost $200,000. They're going to pass the money over to the consumer, and they still not going to be able to afford the cars that they driving. Shout out to the Wealth Building Journey says, no need to wonder why new cars cost six figures and more. The cost of the auto workers' wages plus materials overhead and profit markup factor in the price of each vehicle. It's called hashtag cost push inflation. Cost push inflation. Listen, I'd love for you union members to come up here and help me to understand that I'm wrong. Once y'all start striking on Friday, make sure that you show up on the Friday show, and then I want all of the union members to help me to understand why I'm wrong. All union members, y'all show up on Friday and help me to understand that I'm wrong. Shout out to Teach Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. To get that link in the description. Also on top of that, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let me show y'all what y'all gonna be living like. I want to show y'all what y'all gonna be living like, because this is the next wave. This is now the American dream. This is now the American dream. You can hope and you can pray to get into a tiny home. That's your home. You see those homes? That's your house. That's your house. All of that is you, just for you. I want you working your 32-hour work week so that you can move down to Texas, because you know what? People are selling out. Texas, all of these cookie cutter homes that's costing them nothing to build, don't even got no basement, it's just sitting on a concrete slab. All of these cookie cutter homes, you know what's happening? They are selling out. They are selling out. They can't build enough of these homes. This is the new American dream.
This will be in your backyard. You got some dilapidated cars and RVs. There'll be more tiny homes going up on this lot right here, and that'll be in the back of your house. And I will say that the neighborhood we drove through to get here was not the nicest. Not to be judgmental, but it was not the nicest neighborhood getting here. Aaron, what do you say when you see stuff like this being built?
This is going to be the future. Everything keeps getting smaller and smaller.
And you know what Anton from AntonDaniels.com is doing? Getting into building tiny homes. Every piece of land that I'm buying, right, it's going to look way better than that. My tiny home's going to be a lot better. But Anton is literally building homes. At this point, my next move, and this is the information that I am about to share. This is why I'm documenting the process. I never tell y'all to do nothing that I'm not doing myself. I'm giving y'all the cost breakdown. I already did a live stream inside of the Patreon about it. I brought my architect on the phone, and he told y'all what it is that we doing. I'm literally breaking down inside of the Patreon a new wave and a new move, how it is that my bag chasers, how my bag chasers are going to continue to run it up, how they can get into it, how they can finance it, where they need to get the money from, so on and so forth. I'm giving them the game of what it is that I'm already doing. Every plot of land that we're doing, we're going back to the drawing board with the architect, and we're figuring out, hey, how many square feet should this be? Where should this fit in the neighborhood? How is it that this person can then get into a home, so on and so forth? I am a capitalist. I am a capitalist, meaning that it's no way that I'm never going to profit from what's going on. And this is the new American dream. And I am happy to sell it to you. I will be the one that is selling it to you and making sure that you pay your rent every single month in order to ensure that you got some place to stay. What I see happening over there in Texas, reason why I'm flying over to Texas to Dallas, I got a show to do, but I'm also going to do some research, is because I want to go and see these communities and see exactly what it is that they're building. I'm looking to understand the cost. I've already connected with one of the developers, and so I'm going to implement this in my neck of the woods, and if you don't think that I'm going to profit from it, that is what we do. That is either you're going to make the adjustment and you're going to adapt, or you're going to get ran over. Don't worry about it. We're going to get into it. Let me show you what you can look forward to.
Smaller, and I mean, there's people that are going to love to own one of these, and that's just the times we live in. People are broke, and this is all that they can afford.
So, all right, well, let's continue and check this out. Let's check out one of these slabs up here. So I just want to walk up here and show you one of the slabs of these homes. These homes are, according to the website, we're looking at 350 square feet.
Jesus.
This is about.
Stand on that, Aaron.
This is half the size.
Stand on that.
This is half the size of a garage.
Yeah, it's
half the size of a garage. You're going to be living in a 350 square foot home. Now, at least I'm the nice one. I'm building homes from 850 to 1,100 square feet. That is the requirement in the city that I'm building them in. I'm building homes that's 850 to 1,100 square feet. You're going to at least get 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms in the homes that I'm building. So I'm going to be reasonable, and it's going to be reasonably priced. Don't worry about it. It's coming to a house it's coming to a city near you. And you don't even have to give any money in order for us to build the fund for it. I'm putting it up with my own money. Shout out to Jay Morrison and the Treff Fund. We don't even have to build a black fund in order to do it. I'm doing it with my own money from scratch. Don't worry about it. 350 square feet. That's what you're going to be living in. Shout out to all of my UAW members.
This is like a 1-car garage.
Yeah, it's like a 1-car garage maybe, huh? But man, I mean, I don't even know if you could even park your truck on this thing.
Man, this is the size of an RV, maybe even smaller.
Yeah, it's not very wide. Matt, what comes to mind? Look at this across the street.
What comes to mind is my office is bigger than this house. But you will like this. You will eat bugs, and you will live in your tiny home.
Yeah.
Welcome to the future.
So this is the neighborhood behind your tiny home, and a bunch of old cars over there. And look at these power lines in your backyard. How do you like that? I mean, what do you think about living, 30 feet?
I'm sure they'll bury those. I'm sure they'll bury those power lines.
Yeah,
that
sure.
Shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, those are tiny, aren't they? Man, could you imagine? I mean, there's literally like over 20 lines of power running 30 feet from your house.
They're going to build another 100, 200 of these things.
So, JB, what's crazy is when my family moved to Texas back in, I think it was 85 or 83, my parents bought I want to say it was probably 1,800 square foot house for $100,000. Mm-hmm. And it was on a half acre. So now, look how much the dollar has been.
You're gonna pay almost $200,000 for those, at least. They're going to pay $200,000 for them homes. The markup on those homes is gonna be 200 to 300%. Easy. The markup on those homes is gonna be 200 to 300% all day long. All day long. And you're gonna love it, and you're gonna like it, and you're gonna enjoy it. And it's not gonna be a starter home, it's gonna be your forever home. It's not a starter home, it's gonna be a forever home for you. And that's okay. Everybody needs a place to live. We got homelessness crisis happening in the United States of America, inflation, Biden. Don't worry about it. We don't even care about the quality of our schools anymore. Infrastructure, you can forget about it. So we're going to continue to do this thing, and we're going to run the checkup all day long.
Value to where, look what 100,000, well, it starts at 100,000.
Well, no, we're starting at 133,000 is where they're starting, right? According to the website.
JB, you can see on this angle.
Starting, which means it's going to go up to $200,000. It's going to cost them $50,000 to build it. I don't even think it's going to cost them $50,000 to build that house. Based off of what I now know from building my own places, is no way that it's going to cost them that much in order to build that place. They building them all the same. They all cookie cutter. They using the cheapest materials. That slab don't cost nothing. It probably costs them the most time to just get the permits in order to build the houses.
Yeah, the yard is not that big. There's the completed ones.
Yeah.
The fence.
Yeah, we'll check one of those out.
You don't get any yard at all. You're not getting any land, obviously, from a tiny house.
So apparently things are not bigger in Texas from what we're seeing out here, right? Things are not bigger in Texas any longer. Now it's all about how small things are.
It's amazing.
It's unbelievable. I mean,
don't worry. We'll put a nice label on it. We'll say that we just want you to live a minimalist lifestyle. We want you to live, work, and play all in the same area. It's no reason for you to go to Sam's Club. Most people back in the day, you know what they did? They went and shopped for the thing that they wanted to eat that day. You don't need a big refrigerator. You don't need a lot of power. You don't need a lot of energy. We want to make sure that everybody got a home. And so we want you to live a minimalist lifestyle. You don't need all of that stuff. Get rid of it. Make sure that your walls are bare. You can just step right outside of your bed, go and get in the shower, no entertainment. If you want to entertain, we got a dog park for everybody to come and congregate in. Don't worry about it. We're going to throw a nice label on it, and it's going to be yours for the low price of $260,000.
Can't really appreciate it
until you get here, right? We said we had to see this in person.
Yeah, you can't really appreciate just how small they really are. I mean, these are 2-story houses, so that each story must be, what, 150 square feet?
175 square feet.
That's unbelievable.
So I don't know if they have bigger ones, but they all look the same size, and the website said 350 square feet. But Matt's right. Like, you can't really appreciate or understand this until you actually, when we were driving up and saw this from a distance, it was shocking. So you really can't appreciate it till you actually get here and walk it. So I'm glad we were able to find this place and shoot some video here and check it out. It's really.
And you know what the funniest part about the whole situation is? You know what the funniest thing about this whole thing is? You're going to pay property taxes for the rest of your life. You're going to get a 30-year mortgage on it. And you know what the cherry on top? Here's the cherry on top. This is the best part. I saved the best for last. The cherry on top is, and you're going to have to go and get a partnership with a spouse in order to even be able to afford your mortgage payments. You're going to have to go and get you a modern woman in order to be able to afford the mortgage payments on top of it. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Don't get mad at me. I'm just the messenger. I just adapt to the times. That's all I do. I just adapt to the times. Shout out to the Patreon members. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let me read a few more of these super chats and then I'm going to get y'all up out of here for the day because I've had a lot to say. I gave y'all my thoughts and I want y'all to feel good as y'all go into y'all strike fund. All right. Messy Mathematician says, thoughts. I'm in underwriting. Basically, the human element of data analytics is a SGMA 6 cert, a good investment. I want to set myself apart from my peers and the higher ups are concerned with waste. It absolutely is a good investment. Any additional skill that you can get that separates you from your peers, but you don't want to look at it as separating you from your peers from the position that you have. This is how I want you to look at it, Messi. I want you to look at it as whatever it is that you do in order to add more value into your skill set or so on and so forth. It needs to be so that you can get a better position either both within the company and to leave. A lot of y'all are staying with y'all companies too long because you're afraid and you need to lean into that job security because you're operating under a survivalist mindset instead of an abundance mindset. Everything that you do as far as continuing to add value into your life needs to be based off of the idea that you're looking to move on or leverage that skill set that you've then acquired in order to get a better position long term. All right? So shout out to you. Great question. But I need you to be leaning into the thing that's going to be best for you, not the thing that's the worst for you. Shout out to the new Houston. Q said, when you coming to Houston? No. I'll be in Dallas on the 19th. Not Houston. I'm going to be in Dallas. I'm doing a show. I'm going to be doing a show, and I got to do an interview, and I got to do some research. In Dallas. Not Houston, Dallas. I will be in Dallas on, let me look at my calendar. I will be in Dallas on, I'm gonna put a link to the show. I'm doing a show in Dallas on the 20th, and then I go to do an interview on the 21st. So I'll be in Dallas on the 20th. Houston is the new Atlanta. I seen y'all having bottle wars, pouring out all of that liquor. Q, you showed me that video. Shout out to my girl Q. Tomorrow I'm going to put a link to the show, and then tonight I'm going to give y'all the updated date. The date that I'm going to be in D.C. for the Patreon meetup is November 4th. It's a Saturday. Saturday, November 4th. That is when we're doing the Patreon meetup. Shout out to my girl Q. Justin hit me with a couple super chats. Says, funny you mentioned tiny homes. I'm literally under contract right now to buy tiny homes in Gwinnett. The city is going to help fund it too. It's what people can afford. See? Shout out to my dog Justin. And Justin is a really good dude. Shout out to my dog Justin running it up. Says, mine are semi-attached starting at 2,000 square feet, starting at $399,000. 2,800 starting at $450, doing 30 in all. City is paying for the street and the sewer. Justin, shh. Shh, Justin, we got to work. We got business to take care of. We don't want to get a general public all of the information. Jeremy H is in the building, says, wow, I thought these tiny homes were for homeless people. Now I'm really about to jack up the rents on my 1,300 square foot townhomes. Get that money. Get that bag. Get that bag. Listen, DC, I'm going to be in DC November 4th for the Patreon meetup. DC, what up, though? Christopher J says, we are not the new Atlanta, my brother. Yes, y'all are. Yes, y'all are. Shout out to Houston, the new Atlanta. Houston is the new STD capital of the world. I love my Houstonites. I love my people, but I might have to come in there like the Bible and say, Lord, if there be 40 or 50 bag chasers in Houston, do not destroy the city. Okay, Anton, and I'm going to have to go back to the Lord and say, Lord, if there be 20 bag chasers in the city, do not destroy the city. Okay, Anton. Then as my bag chasers continue to move out, Lord, if there be but one in the city of Houston without an STD, do not destroy the city. Then I'm gonna go over to Houston and go and make sure that I ain't got no bag chasers in there. And then all of the men is gonna be over there. They're gonna be like, let me in the house. I would like to know thee. Hey, I got 2 women in here. I thought y'all wanted to try to know them. No, we would like to know thee, Anton. Listen, if you ain't never read the Bible, then you're not gonna get the reference. If you ain't never read the Bible, then you're not gonna get the reference. Let me in the house. I would like to know thee. But I have a daughter and a wife in here. Why y'all not trying to know them? No, we from Atlanta. We would like to know thee. Then I'm going to have to go ahead and pray to the Lord thy God for him to send thy angels and to smite thee and then to take me up out of that place. And then hopefully my wife don't look back and turn to a pillar of salt. Listen, I love you guys. I appreciate you. For all of my people that read the Bible as they was growing up, you know what those references are. I love you guys. You guys are the best audience on the face of the earth. And you know I put on the best show, bar none. Make sure that you guys hit a like for the algorithm on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. If you have not already, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I will be live streaming tonight on the Anton Daniels channel, and I will be telling you exactly how black women continue to get finessed, how women in general continue to get finessed and scammed in relationships out of their money and out of their box. I love you. I appreciate you, but I need you to do me one more favor before we get up out of here. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be STD and STI free by ourselves. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Let's get a round of applause for the greatest morning show on earth. I'm going to holler at y'all tomorrow, please.